This is the weekly weather with Maxina and April, where no matter the forecast, it's always sunshine and snow.
Hello, my friend. How are you this week?
We're here.
We're gonna like unscramble our brains. A new thing. Woo! Hi. How are you?
I am good.
Good.
Oh, it is good to be here.
Good.
It is good to be here, be with you, to do this again. It's been too long. We only just got started and then had to take a break, and I didn't like it. I didn't like it.
I didn't either. There were some days when I was texting you about it, I'm like, can we try to get together this week? Can we go? I'm telling you, I'm missing you. We need to talk. We just need to catch up. Thanks for coming over so we could do that a little bit beforehand, so that way it's not just like diving right into like, super personal things that we've all been through this season. My gosh. So much. I'm glad you're here, so thank you. And I think that says something about our commitment to the project.
Yes.
That we took this long break and now we're coming back into it, and here we are. We're fine, and we're committed. We're committed. We're gonna do this, guys. We're gonna do this. I promise. We promise. As the Lord allows us to.
Yes.
That's all we can do.
Yes. And He's always welcome. Always welcome.
Amen. Oh, which reminds you, let's go ahead and pray.
Yes.
Will you pray for us?
Absolutely. Father God, we thank you for the ability to be able to get together as sisters, as friends, to be able to share our lives. And we invite you here to this space, and once again, be with us as we speak and bring the words that need to be heard to the people who need to hear them. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Thank you.
You're welcome. How's the weather?
It's very much like Florida weather, it's like on one side of the street it's raining, and on the other side of the street the sun be shining, baby. Yes. That's pretty much how it is these days. There's some clouds and some spots in my life, but there was actually that's a great segue into the thing that I told you I wasn't going to say until we got started. So I'm in this season where I'm dealing with a lot of anger towards some people, and I asked for a prayer from somebody, basically a stranger, but a pastor, and he was like, yeah, and so I kind of told him a little bit of what was going on, and he said something about in the prayer about having righteous anger, that there is this righteous anger that we can feel, and then he segued into, because what I wanted is to be able to deal with the anger, because I was like, as good as I am, I'm a poet, baby. As good as I am with my words on the good side of things, I can be pretty, and it's not in a sense of I want to insult or hurl insults in order to hurt or whatever. I'm very very direct and specific about things. I'm honest, you know what I mean? I'm brutally honest about things that either bother me or that I observe or whatever about somebody. Right. I'm this is why, and so this sort of the thing that I'm shooting at a, particular person in my life. And I don't want to do that. I know that it's not the feelings that I was really I was waking up in tears and just everything was I was irritable, just So it was several weeks of just really just rotten, just a lot of rottenness. So I asked for these prayers for multiple people. I was texting my friends and everything else, and so this pastor, and he talks about this, there is this righteous anger, and which sort of I felt validated in that, I was like, there is a reason here that I'm angry. It's not, I'm not just unrighteously angry. There is that. So that was nice to be yes, I'm, God is angry with me too.
Right.
And then he said something about replacing that anger with joy. And I was like, that's right. You have to put a new, there has to be a this is the replacement value. And I was just like, all right, I mean, there is that. So I was just like happy for that particular prayer. And so I just kind of hung on to the word joy. And then, on the way home that night from dropping off my friend, I just sort of had this reminder of like when I was in my early 20s. I loved being single. Part of what I was dealing with is this divorce that I'm going through. I loved being single. Like, and I always made the joke that the only reason that I married was because I loved him more than I loved being single. Like, I really enjoyed myself. Like, my company is great. Like, I'm great, my friend. Like, I'm fun. And I was like kind of reminded of that. I was like on the way home because I was like, I just kind of cranked the radio up and I was just like, have the wind, which is sort of my MO anyway. I'm a sunshine girl. But, I was just like, thinking about my next day, but that word joy, and I was like, that's right. I really, as much joy as I had taking care of a family or thinking about my family and, trying to prioritize them, that I really had a good time, doing that for myself as a, young woman. So I was like, that turned around on me and I've just kind of like shifted into a season of joy where I'm just sort of thinking a lot about taking good care of myself and taking good care of that which the Lord has, blessed me with. So those are the things in this season, just this, and the whole whatever is like, and there was and of course, the Advent season, one of the days is joy, one of the Advent weeks is joy. But there was, I felt like the entire season, there were messages about joy, 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 joy throughout the whole season, which is indicative of Christmas anyway.
Right.
But it just stuck out to me more and more this season, especially when I was like kind of expecting to have a lot of misery. I was expecting to be really lonely, and kind of, bobbling in depression,
right?
That's sort of
the natural worldly things
right,
to be doing.
The things that I tend to do, But one of my new mantras is, I'm not going crazy. Must be the Holy Spirit. And that was another one of those situations. All right, Holy Spirit, come on, let's do it. So
I love it.
Yeah, so that's the weather for me. How about you, my friend? How about you?
It's been just a busy couple of weeks and recovery time and getting back into the groove of the work. Mm-hmm. I look forward to Saturdays with Carl down at the market. Mm-hmm. And that little Saturday thing, it's becoming something. Yeah. And it's kind of cool to watch it happening.
Watch it grow.
Right? I see what you did. Because, Carl's got this idea. I want to learn more about microgreens. Okay, learn more about microgreens. And then he's like, I think I'm going to do a business. And I'm like, okay. Okay, I don't know what to say.
You over the years, I'm sure you've like learned to go with the flow with that.
Oh,
kind of thing.
Absolutely. And if he says, Lord's talking to me, okay. Like, and it's really cool because we have that in common. Like, if I go, I'm hearing the Lord. Like, have you actually heard the Lord? Because I'm hearing the Lord. And he's like, oh, well, no. I heard the Lord a couple weeks ago when this is what was said. And I'm like, okay, well, since then, what do we think? And so that's cool. We trust each other to not just be thrown around our ideas with a fake stamp of approval from God. Like, no, it's, we save saying it for when it really is. But no, I was afraid I was going to be like overwhelmed with Saturdays because Monday through Friday, then teach on Sunday. And okay, now we have Saturday. And it's actually, I look forward to it. The week that I couldn't do it, I was very sad. I was like, I really missed it. I was like, I missed being up there and seeing the people. And I'm not sure if I mentioned this previously or if I was just telling somebody else in an outside setting, but I used to be a bartender. And one night, I think it was one of the first Fridays, Carl and I were downtown, and we went into one of the restaurants that has a little bar, and we sit at the bar because we like to talk to the bartenders. And the bartender was interacting with some customers, and it was, hey, Mike, hey, dude, where's Bob? Tell him to come up here and see me, and da-da-da. And I was like, Carl, I miss that. I don't miss working in the restaurant. I do not miss slinging beers across the bar.
Right.
I don't miss that. But that
Yeah.
I miss. And then that Saturday we're at the market and it was, oh, hey, Colleen, how are you today? And I was like,
where everybody knows your name.
God gave me the thing. It was the thing
great,
that I
yeah.
missed about that whole atmosphere.
Yes, yeah.
Without
That's
having
so
that atmosphere. And
absolutely.
it's so cool because there's so many people that are regulars. They come back every week and then there's new people and it's just like being at the bar. Like, hey, bud, how you doing? You getting the usual today? And we've got people that, hey, you getting the usual or you're mixing it up today? And we get to say that.
Yeah.
Over microgreens. Like, what?
Yeah.
What? And just slowly we go, hey, this could make our life a little easier if we do this. And we implement that. And, hey, you know what? That did make it a little easier. And especially the last 2 weeks because I haven't been able to lift anything because of recovering from that surgery. And so Carl's had to do all of the lifting by himself. So that's load the truck, unload the truck. Now we work and then load the truck and unload the truck. And it's like, what can I do to help make this easier? And I'm like, rolling rack with extra shelves and roll it from the one end of the house to the other. And what if we fit it into the truck? Let's take it with us. And he's like, I don't know. And then it worked. And he was like, actually, that was easier. And I was like, yes.
Nice.
And so it's been fun, this little partnership with him. And he sees it huge. And I'm like, well, I don't see that yet, but I am along for the ride.
Yeah.
I am really enjoying this little ride. And him and his seeds. And it's kind of fun.
That's awesome.
It's kind of fun.
Well, and the fact that you get to make it a part of your partnership. It's not his thing.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, for you to be along for the ride, it allows it to be a y'all thing.
Right.
And even if you are, like, in hustle and bustle, it's not hustle and bustle away from the family.
Right.
You're able to prioritize the right things in the right ways. You're encouraging people to be healthier by consuming things that are good for them. You're encouraging community by,
Yes.
instituting a mood and an experience of friendliness whenever you're talking to people. And I imagine that was probably, in large part what you felt like you were doing. And especially because, and I know you have this, servant-heartedness
Yes.
about you. And so if this is, a way that you can serve your community and you feel like you're really being valued and purposeful and valuable, then, that really just, that fills somebody's gas tank up
Yes.
so easily. And it's and if you're extroverted or have, at least extroverted swings of moods, I'm in the middle. I'll swing in between. So there's some times where I'm I'll reach the end of it and I'll be like, all right, and now it's time for introvert mode. But if you have any of that at all, where you're thriving off of, that community process, then I totally see that being something that, allows y'all to flourish.
And Linda's been such a help. She stepped in when I needed to babysit the kids for our friend, and then she stepped in when I was in the hospital, and she's going to step in for the wine tasting because there's no way I'm going to be able to do the last minute things to set up for a 2:00 thing on a Saturday and be there for any period of time and be helpful. So she's going to step in for me. And
let me know if you need help with anything setting up. It's
Absolutely.
on my calendar, and there's nothing on the calendar before that, I don't think. So
Yeah, I'm excited about that too. Nice little sipping with the sisters.
Yeah.
Sipping with the sisters. And sent out 20 invites. And if
Mhm.
everybody said yes, that would be 21 of us, counting myself. And I have had, including myself, we have 11 absolute yeses.
Okay.
4 maybes.
Mhm.
And then the other 7,
Gotcha.
8 were no's.
Will
6.
you
6 were
send
no's.
me a link if there's a link? If it's, I'm sure that if she has affiliate or something with her, just so I can look at the selections ahead of time, or at least the price points or something.
I'm meeting with him
Or
via
her, okay.
phone on Monday to discuss which wines, and I'll ask him if.
Okay, fantastic. Because this totally did not occur to me. How funny. Okay. So there's this thing that I wanted this year. I decided I wanted to try to start, and this I didn't even have your thing in mind at all. I didn't think about this at all, but it fits right in. It's perfect because I'm looking to learn a little more about red wines.
Mm-hmm.
I need to be really selective about them because of my issues.
Mm-hmm.
But I was reading scripture, and I think it was in Timothy or Peter, First and Second Timothy, or First and Second Peter. I want to say Timothy, but Paul talks to him. He tells him to have a little bit of red wine
With his meal.
because he has stomach issues and because he's prone to illness, and and I know some things aren't for everybody.
Right.
I get that, but it stuck out to me. And typically,
if it sticks
at this-
out, there's
right,
a reason.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
I'm well versed enough, at this point in my Christian walk to know when Lectio Divina is a necessary thing. It was the same with my incense. You know what I mean? It was like as soon as it sticks out, it's like and then when more things come along, it's like okay, all right. So,
Yeah,
but
as long as you're not taking it to drunkenness.
right,
'Cause
yes,
that's the point. That's the whole point.
right. Well, and there was that, I guess there was sort of like an element of that too, because I am one, like, I love to go a couple times a week, if I'm financially well off enough or whatever. I'll go by the store, I'll grab a couple of tall boys, and I'll unwind at the end of the night just doing the computer work, my like skincare or whatever. But I know that's not like the best for me, but I love beer. I love the taste of beer. This particular one brand that I just love. And so I enjoy that, and I enjoy it socially too, but I thought if I can just sort of like switch that habit, especially if there's this chance that getting a good, decent red wine can actually, be beneficial in some way away from, the beer,
right, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like switch the habit a little bit, then maybe I can enjoy that, a little better. So I want to look deeply into the reds and the smoother ones, the less, what's less acidic, what's not. So having this like thing, when you talked about the wines, it's like suddenly clicked. I'm like, this is so funny because this is something that I'm actually seeking out, just because I'm, part of it's just like spiritual curiosity.
Right.
So it's like, okay. And wine is this thing, that was another thing that had connected to where there's this deep tradition of celebration specifically with wine.
Mm-hmm.
And the first miracle being, the wine switching, and the Last Supper and the wine, and the I won't drink it anew with you, the fruit of the vine, until the in the new kingdom. It's like all of these things associated specifically with wine, that's very much about the unification between bride and bridegroom.
Yep.
And I kind of like that reminder. It's the same thing with like the incense, where it was like it was going up, the sweet smelling prayers. And so that was another thing that came along for me when I was like not looking for it, but this information, the reminder of this information about the celebration, wine used in celebration. I'm like, that's a better use of whatever. And not that I want to be, anti whatever about the beer. I don't mind going and grabbing a
Right.
beer with friends once in a while, but in my own time, I think I would just rather be contemplative about wine
Yes.
and the wedding feast in my own time. I think that's a better use of my alone time.
Yes.
Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
I'm really looking forward to the Sippin' Sisters.
Yes.
And I'm going to talk about that a little bit if you let me. Be like,
Abs-
by the way, y'all. So,
And he, the gentleman's name is Nick, and he's very relaxed, very go with the flow. And usually, I think he'll have like 8 wines.
okay.
And I will let him know that we're interested in a couple of different reds, and I'll mention so that he can bring those up.
Yeah.
Because he
So
usually does some
Cabernet's
whites
supposed to
and
be
some
the
reds.
best.
Like
Okay.
he does the mix, but I'll be like, add a few extra reds and a few less whites. We could probably do that.
Okay.
And I'm so excited about it too.
Me
And
too.
everybody gets their own glass. They get to take home with them.
Oh,
Yeah.
well, isn't that fancy?
I was like,
I love
and their
that.
own little charcuterie board too. Yes, because I was like, oh,
So fancy.
Well, it holds your little snack, but it also holds your little wine glass. Like your wine glass sits in it, so that we can be sitting and having the
Okay.
different things to taste.
Well, that'll be the thing that I
Between
use.
wines.
That's so perfect.
Right?
Because I love, actually, that's one of the things that I started at the end of last year was like charcuterie, like dry foods, because
Mhm.
it's not a stomach issue, you know. So that will be so perfect.
yes,
I'm so
it's a cute.
excited.
It's just a cute little thing. And I was like, oh, that'll be great, and people can take it with them when they go. So here's your gift. Thank you for coming. I don't have to be stuck with them.
Yeah. Party favors.
Because I was like, that's a lot of wine glasses. I don't have that many wine glasses. And I went, this is a great idea. So yeah,
I love that.
And-
Yay. I'm so excited.
I'm very excited. And then I was thinking about the idea that you had originally pitched when I was talking about doing it, which was
That's right.
the networking.
Mm-hmm.
That is still a great idea. And if he doesn't mind coming to Lakeland, because it is a long ride for him, because he's from the Tampa area. Or at least I think that's where he's from. Because that's where I met him, was in Tampa. But that we'd have to have a venue big enough to hold people, because I'm already stressing about the parking in my front yard.
Gotcha.
And that's just for between 12 and 16 people.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
So we'd have to plan that properly. But I think a networking event is still a great idea. And I would love to work on that with you
Okay, good.
in the future. Like,
Yes, this year.
mhm.
In the next 6 months, probably.
Yes.
Like that seems like a good, like spaced out amount of time or whatever.
Yes.
And with the other projects that that I have going on, and us trying to get this developed, I feel like that's feasible.
Yeah.
Because I'm sure, like, especially with those types of parties, it's like it's already sort of planned. You just have to think about time and invite list, or
Yeah,
time,
right.
place, and invite list, and so that's, I think, easy enough for us to take on within 6 months. So yeah, girl, I'm down. Girl, I'm down. I'm down. Yay.
So,
I'm
yeah.
looking forward to that. So
That would be fun.
yay. That was one of the first things that I put into my new calendar. And so, and that's what I'm doing here in the next, like, few days, is, I attended an online goal setting seminar. It was like a Big Life, this girl who does a Big Life planner.
Okay.
And there's her thing is like really, really thick, but I have my planner that I've been like, I use the Christian planner, and I have used it this is my like 7th year running.
Right?
And they're all tattered and torn. By the time I'm done with them, that's how well loved and used they are. So I sort of implemented some of the tools that she provided, and I've got to go through and put in some of my daily, weekly, and monthly things and habits and tracks and things like that. And so I'll probably have a better idea of what looks good in 6 months or whatever. And maybe it would be good, like, as like a end of either like a kick off the summer thing or coming back from the summer thing.
Mm.
Because 6 months exactly is right in the middle of the summer, and that's also right in the middle of when I'm about to release my second book. So, so
excited.
I'm very excited about that one. That one's deeply, deeply personal, but I think that's the one that is going to be. I think that one's going to be the thing that allows the community that I hope to connect with know me more personally. The first book is very much, it's all, the little blurb on it is poetry, prayers and poetry on wrestle and rest with Christ.
Ooh.
Yes. So it's very much faith. You know what I mean? It's all faith. It's all, Christ-centered poetry. There's not a lot of me in it other than just my spiritual experiences put out on paper. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's like that. But the second one is more like the people in my life. I've written poems about people in my life, my childhood, the stinky things, that we went through my sister and I went through as children. And I sort of have this concept of where I think it's going to, I know what the last story is. And so I think I have a really good concept of how the whole flow is going. So I feel really good and on track with that one. My first one, I don't feel like I'm very much on track with. I did my edits today and I was like, okay, all right, Lord, I told you this is going to be my first fruit. So the first project of the year, get back on this book, because it's been in the hands of readers and editors and, so that's what's, and then the holidays, I was just dragging my feet. I didn't touch it at all. So basically, yeah, it is, yeah. So
You're allowed.
I thank you. I need the permission apparently, because I've been really hard on myself, and I'm like, no, I'm going to get on this. But I did. Did I send you the picture of my little vendor table?
Yes. Oh, so cute. I loved it.
And now you saw the photos too that I sent. So you see kind of like little pieces of it coming together. So I'm just like, I feel like, so the way Janelle said it, she was like, you're at this, she's like, it's a roller coaster, and you've been doing it.
Yes, you're approaching that cliffhanger one where you're gonna go wee and take off.
Yes. That's what it feels like. I'm like, all right. Let me get my ass in gear, I guess. My gosh.
Hope you've got your seatbelt on tight. That lap bar better be down, because whoo, it's gonna be a ride.
I know. I hope so. It feels arrogant to say it, but I mean, I've put a lot of hard work into it.
Yeah.
So I think it would be a lack of faith if I were like, oh, this is going nowhere. like that would be a crappy attitude, sucky attitude, or whatever. I just, I'm trying to have faith in it and the whole process, because I brought God in on it like right away. So, my goodness. So, as much as I hated you being away, you should tell everybody why you're away. April almost died last episode, everybody. And she was just like casually, hanging in there. And
So this episode is our 4th episode, but the first episode of 2026. So yay. So as people are listening to this in the future, you'll have some timeline. The 3rd episode, we got together and we didn't use a camera at all, only audio, because I felt like I was dying. Turned out, maybe I was. My appendix was rupturing and perforating and spilling itself and doing horrible things, and I didn't know it. And so then went in the next day for an emergency surgery, and so yeah, it's been a rest and relaxation and work from home, and then work locally, and then back to work, and it's just can't do anything. Can't just grab a box and move, and that's been the most annoying thing, is I just want to grab that thing and it's too heavy. I can't take. I'm not allowed to do that, and
Yeah.
I think that's the hardest part. So you got to rely on people so much. And it's one thing when it's like personal stuff, like, hey, I need your help. Can you come help me with whatever around the house? Like, friends are like, yeah, I'll do that. But at work, it always feels like there's this little bit of like, do they have animosity because I'm not doing anything and I'm having to ask them to do more, and I don't like that.
Yeah.
But that's a me thing that I got to work on, because they may not care at all. They're like, yeah, happy to help, but in my head it's a whole other story.
Yeah.
Like they're all mad at me.
Well, I think because we sort of ourselves show up into the workplace with an expectation to carry our own weight. And so if you come into the workplace and you can't carry your own weight, you just sort of automatically feel like you're a burden on the
Right.
team. You know, there's very much a team dynamic here versus a partnership dynamic that you have at home, where it's like, we're in this together.
Right.
You know, whereas at work, they're like, hey, you know, we got stuff to do. I don't, you know, it's like, but hopefully your environment's compassionate enough that you don't,
And
you know.
they are, and yet
Yeah.
my internal dialogue, and yeah, that's, like I said, I think it's a me problem.
Yeah.
And I struggle with that because if somebody else was going through, I'd be like, I'm there, first one to help, absolutely no problem, and I would not feel animosity to them at all. Why do I expect that other people have animosity against me? I don't know. Has anybody ever acted like that? No. Have they ever said anything? Nope. But my brain is going, these are,
Mine does the same
I don't
thing.
understand. I don't understand.
It convinces you that everybody's so mean. Everybody but you is so mean. That's how my brain always does.
They're
It's like everybody
fake.
around me is mean. They don't like me. I like them, but they don't like me.
It's like, why? Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
I hate that my brain does that sometimes still.
Yeah. Well, maybe it's one of those mechanisms that allows us to be conscientious of what we put on others. You know what I
Ooh,
mean? It's
right,
like, you know,
maybe.
it's like if we can, you know, walk away with the lid, just don't dwell on it. You know what I mean? Like, don't act on that. I think that's honestly, if I were to think about like a coping or like one of the major cognitive switches that I've had to do over the years is that switch exactly of like, I feel this way, that perhaps so and so thinks this or says this or had said that or talks about this, but I don't know for sure, and so therefore I just have to treat them and act on the reality, what is probably the reality, or what at least I have evidence on, which is that they're not that it's not that. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
it's like, I feel this, but I'm going to treat them and everybody around me and myself and everything else this way.
Based
You know,
on the actual what I'm
right.
seeing.
Yes, yeah. So reality and
And
evidence.
if they
so
have
yeah.
anything hidden agenda, then they need to either talk about it or
Yeah.
get over it.
Yeah,
'cause-
it'll come to surface. Yeah, honestly, it comes to surface. If people have a problem, honestly, a lot of people don't have a problem saying something, and if you know, if they do, then you just kind of learn to do cope.
Right.
Oh, sorry. All right, let's communicate about that. So, and even then, and maybe that's it. So there's another. Okay, so another like thing, because anxiety is one of those things I've dealt with a lot. So I feel like my train of thought's going here. Play that what if game. It's like, okay, so what if everybody around you think that you're a burden right now? Okay, then what? What do you do about that? What can you do? What action can you take about that? What can you act? What's in your control anyway about it?
Absolutely nothing.
Right. Yeah. Okay. So then, so freaking what?
And there you go. Yeah.
It's like just follow it to its logical end, and then it's like, all right, cross
Isn't
that bridge when
isn't
you
that
get
crazy?
there.
Isn't that crazy though? That because I have grown a lot over the years. Because there used to been a time I'd go home crying at the end of the day. Like, they talked to me this way. They said I was and then I've matured, and I have been able to recognize these patterns and go, okay, that's not beneficial. Let's change that. Let's behave differently. Let's react differently. And then every now and then there'll still be something that just creeps up, and I guarantee it's way back in childhood somewhere, because that's where it always starts. It always starts back
Our little
there.
building blocks all
I know.
crumbling.
But yeah, just every now and then it crawls back up, and it's like, it needs to go away. I don't like it. But thank you for the reminder. Yeah, because what if? What if? Can't do anything about it. Still not allowed to do the thing until next week. So, okay.
Yeah.
Be a burden for a few more days. It'll be fine.
Yeah, it's you just gotta deal with, and that's one of those like once you reach into like geriatrics or bariatrics, you know what I mean? Like
Mhm.
any of those like where there's chronic illnesses, where there's a deep level of dependency on other people. You know what I mean? It's like sometimes people don't want to be around you if you're an extra burden, and well, okay, sorry, you're lost. You
Right.
know, it's like, I've lost so many friends because I was too much, and it's like, all right, whatever. Sorry if you don't want to work through this. I'm willing to work through things with you and accept your flaws, but I guess mine are just, too annoying.
There's a young
It's like you
lady-
just deal with it.
There's a young lady on TikTok, Instagram, social media, Elise Myers, and she just wrote a book, and she became famous for. That's a great question. I'd be happy to tell you, like random weird questions, and then she tells little snippets of her life, and she's just so creative and funny. And she dealt with anxiety and all of that. And one of the things was that when people say you're too much, that's okay. Find less. Find less.
Right, yeah, I get it. Some people are dog people, some people are cat people. I'm a lot of energy, all right? I'm going to wag my tail around you and give you a hug and maybe kiss you on the face. And
Oh.
if that's just a little too much for you, then, well, go find a cat person. Go find a cat.
Find
Whatever.
less. Absolutely.
Yes,
But
that's
yeah.
exactly right.
Sometimes we have to remind ourselves, just find less.
Yeah,
If I'm too much, find less. Because I'm not too much.
yeah.
As a matter of fact, we are freaking delights.
Yeah, we are.
We are freaking delights.
I'm awesome.
We are. Oh,
I
goodness.
enjoy myself. Darn it. Darn it. Oh, yeah. And my goal this year is a couple of goals this year so that I can sort of learn to enjoy myself even more. Well, there's like I want to read more. I want to read more books. I want to be more, intentional about that. Not necessarily like a number of books, more so that I'm reading every single day for a certain amount of time. And that I'm reading a variety of things.
Yes.
So that's really like obviously in the morning, I just want to do my Bible reading, which I've sort of cut out this this concept that I have to do like a devotional necessarily, like somebody else's Lectio Divina or somebody else's reflective thoughts on the
Right.
scripture. I've just taken it like, let me just read a chapter a day, at least a chapter. Sometimes they're so short. I was like, I can read another chapter. I can read 3. Honestly, like I went through when Pastor Ken was talking about, finish up Hebrews or whatever. Those books are so short. You can read straight through from Hebrews to Revelation in a few hours. It's like, and especially with the Bible app, you just push play and that helps me concentrate. And especially with the habit that I've had of like lighting an incense, and that helps me focus too and remind me that this is a time in prayer that God looks forward to. He wants to, this is enjoyable for him. It smells good to him. He likes it. And so that's a reminder, and I want to stay focused. But yeah, I read straight through them. So more reading, more books, more time reading, and I want to learn like outdoor cooking, and I think that would be a lot of fun. And I want to invite friends over to do that, and like get company time with people, and like, you know what I mean, like get to know each other that way. And we have our, I have tea time, coffee time with girlfriends, but I just think some sort of like learning together activity where you're like developing each other more and like pouring into each other that way. So that's a goal of mine, to kind of get to this place of like liking myself even more. Because if I would say that there's something that I really don't like about myself, it would be that I'm not as intentional about my health as I should be. And a large part of that is my relationship with food. And so there's a few things that I've learned about myself over the last few years about my relationship with food, and just like my physical whatever, issues that I have with it. And so I feel like I'm in this place now with having to, not having to focus on my family, I am wanting to take some of these things that I've learned about my appetite and learned about my habits and say, okay, well, then this is how I would be on my own without the influence of what everybody else's preferences and needs and everything else are, always prioritizing, what they want, and whether or not it was good or bad for my health. Okay, yeah, we'll just go for that, even though I would rather try to do this thing here. I can just do that. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So there's something coming up in the weather coming up. The forecast.
I like it.
Yeah, I'm really excited about it. What about you? What's your forecast?
Yeah, I have never been good at doing that. Beginning of the year, setting goals. Nope. And I don't know why that is either. Maybe the trauma of childhood of, in 6 months we're going to be gone anyway. So,
Gosh.
we were always moving.
Momentum.
The longest we ever stayed anywhere was a year and a half.
Mm-hmm.
And then 1 year we moved 3 times in the year. So it was like constantly moving, and not just schools or across town, but literally states. We would move all the time. And I didn't make the habit of staying in touch with people. I put up a wall immediately. Like, we are tight. We're best friends. The minute I'm gone, I don't remember your name. Like, there are 3 people who I remember their full name. 1 was from the 5th grade, and 2 were from the 7th grade. And the 2 from the 7th grade I am Facebook friends with for the last 22 years.
Okay.
But haven't seen them in person. And that was hard to find them, because I moved and I said, no, I'm going to stay in contact with you. And so we exchanged addresses and we wrote, and then when they moved to Texas, they lost my address and were unable to write to say, hey, this is where I'm at now. I was devastated. And then I was like, I couldn't find her. And then one day it just dawned on me, oh, look up her dad. His name didn't change. And I was like, oh. And I sure did. I found him and I called and I was like, I don't know.
Nancy Drew.
I don't know if you're going to remember me, but. And he was like, oh my God, April, yeah. And he was like, I'll call Amy now and have her call you. And we talked on the phone for like 4 hours. And then we became Facebook friends. And she's got a little life going on and kids. And her sister is the other one. And she's got kids and a life. And it's just crazy. Like, we had lives. But yeah, I don't have anybody I can go, oh my God, we've been friends since kindergarten. Like,
Yeah.
like, my longest friendship happened, is my friend Phoebe, and she moved away, but that's okay. We stay in touch, not as often as we should, but we do stay in touch, and we have been friends longer than Carl and I have been married. But only by a few months, because we met like at the same time.
You're like, yeah, right there,
Right there,
it's
yep.
there.
Because it's like in February, it's our friendiversary, and then in August will be, Carl and I's anniversary. But like, we've been friends for the same amount of time, and but I was 22, so I made my first real lasting friendship at 22.
Okay.
And it's so hard.
Yeah.
Like, and it's habits. It's
So that sort of, I feel like, lends itself to that you're real, like, go with the flow type of, like, personality, because
Right.
you're like, well, what's the point of what's the point of having an agenda myself? Like,
Right,
we're
'cause
just
it's gonna
doing
be
this,
gone.
right? Like, what's
It'll be
it's just
gone.
gonna float
Yeah.
away? Like, what is that? What is that? Yeah. I came across this podcast that was, I wish I remembered the guy's name. I'll share it with you. But he talked about productivity. And I forget, so I'm creating this goal setting thing.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm just sort of like absorbing a lot of information about it right now. And he talked about he says, I don't think that there's really a place in scripture that gives you this space to say, oh yeah, everything's great and I'm here and there's nothing else for me to do. Like there's always a call into something deeper, or to get better at, or to focus on, like there's always some, politics, we're in a race, and it's like, and so I appreciated that he did that, because I've sort of like struggled with this ambition that I've had to do that. And it started, many years ago, because I did not have foundation of goal setting, or like having ambition, or like what that or how to break it down, or what types of goals are truly actually relevant to you personally.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's like, I think anytime I ever maybe did do the exercise, it was like you set the goals that you think you're supposed to have.
Right.
Right? Get married, all the things, but when I had, as an adult, sort of like revisited this practice or whatever, it sort of like jolted my intentionality. And so that was sort of what it started me on, but I still had this like deep, I guess, guilt or shame about it or something, because I felt like it was like selfish ambition. Like, oh, I'm just selfishly being, like, I'm going after, so I'm being, one of the favorite things I was accused of for a little bit of time was being narcissistic and having delusions of grandeur. And that I struggled for. I went to therapy, hearing those, things. Oh, people talking about your back and they're saying this, da 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 da. I'm going to therapy. I'm like, is this true? Oh God, this is awful. I don't want to be that, But I think, what I realize now is that I've honestly, I've had a lot of faith in knowing that God has impressed upon my life that I am set aside for something. You know what I mean? And it's like, and whatever that looks like, I have to be intentional about it, and I have to go after it, and I have to be, but there's, when you talk about, your relationships and shutting those out easily, that's an area of my life that I've had to like set goals on, where it comes really easily to other people. And, I'm glad you relate to that, because that was a perfect example. It's like, there's things that came really easily to everybody. I have to set goals to get good at those.
Right.
Even habits, like getting better at getting up and showering. You know what I mean? Like, that's an intentional thing that I had to learn. I had to sit down and write it on my calendar to remember it. So it's always been, this struggle of like, am I being selfishly ambitious, or am I really answering to the call that God has like impressed upon my life? And coming across this guy's podcast and the way that he sort of like broke down and he said he had more podcasts, and I'll probably go in and explore more of those. But that was such just such a reviving thing to hear, that it was like, okay, good, I'm not misplaced in allowing myself to be called further and deeper and whatever. And so the goal setting thing that I'm doing is to also encourage the women, men too, if they want to. I happen to associate more with women more often, because that's who's,
Right.
it's in my purview. But that's what I feel like, when I'm in conversation with my sisters, it's always these things that I've experienced and that has made a difference and that have grown me and grown my faith, more importantly. They've really grown my faith and my relationship with Christ. And those things are the things that I'm hoping to sort of like capture and pour into my sisters through this like process.
Right.
So that's part of my, forecast, if you will, in 2026 too, is sort of like creating a platform for the sisters around me to be able to do this within their own flexibilities, within their own time. Because sometimes it's not necessarily like, oh, I don't have a self-discipline deficit. I have a time deficit. I have a sister that I, talk with regularly, that I, sort of came to that realization today. We talk a lot about self-discipline. And it's like, well, no, stretched between 12 different things and you only have, 8 hours a day, or whatever to do them between work and home and every, it's like you're just women are just constantly stretched, So I think that was another way for me to just sort of like manage it, was to just constantly be vigilant about what am I doing next? What am I doing next? What is the next step? What is the next step? So I feel like sometimes I cause anxiety in the sisters around me when I'm asking them, like, hey, what you got going on? What are you doing next? What are you planning now? What are you, but because it's sort of like, so I'm so involved in self-management that I sort of like, I want to know how you're doing it too. You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
there's this deep curiosity of how you're doing it too. So
You're out here surviving, so how are you doing it?
right, yeah. Thank you. Yes, exactly.
Okay.
Tell me your secrets, girl.
What are you doing?
Tell me your secrets.
My secrets is I hide when I get home. Oh,
You hide when you get home.
I do.
Oh, okay.
I don't want my phone to ring. I need time. And I feel bad
Don't.
because I have so many people who's constant all day.
Right.
And when I get home, I'm like, And Carl wants to talk. And I'm like, okay.
Gotcha.
Okay. And then Linda will want to talk. And I'm like, okay. And 2020 was my big wake up call. And where no, you have to still be tuned in. You can shut everybody else out, but you still have to be tuned in here. But if I don't get the proper amount of rest and zone out time, then my battery is gone, and then I'm useless the next day. And so finding that balance when I'm at home, where nope, I'm still here for you, and I can hear you, and I can talk to you, and we're okay. I just sometimes I need a minute.
Do you have a designated April time for that? I mean,
No, not really. So my ride home from work and my ride to work, since I've moved to Tampa, has become that, because that's that extra time.
is traffic stressful for you?
It used to be.
Okay.
And listening to the deep end, something that they said, and will I even remember what it is now? Something someone said, and it was, it was about intention. And just, you know what? Traffic is crazy because I said traffic's crazy. It's not. This highway is literally just my path from A to B. And I'm just going to get there. If you want to be in front of me, you be in front of me. I am not giving you any of my energy. And so I put a podcast or Christian music, but I allow that to be my downtime. The thing that gets me now is if people call me while I'm in that. Why are you calling me? You're interrupting my quiet time, because I need this time so that when I get home, I can be like present.
Does airplane mode allow you to access those other things?
Ooh, that's a good question.
Experiment with that.
Well, that's a good
Yeah,
question.
set your boundaries. Yeah, because don't feel shame for needing, if you're bombarded with tasks all day, requests all day, conversations all day, and then you go into traffic for an hour or however, long that looks like, and then you come home to questions and check this out and da 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 da. You know what I mean? It's like literally, like you're expected to, you literally aren't allowed to think about yourself for
Right.
10 hours straight. And maybe
hard
that
then.
is it. You're just like, okay, if you want to prioritize, husband and baby when you come home, then it's like, okay, then at least give yourself, that by 8:10 you're getting a hot shower and you're doing a spa night to yourself, or whatever that looks
Right.
like. Whatever.
I'm off duty. Stop.
Right. This is my wine and Bible time. Go away, or whatever.
Right.
It's like, this is like, you really do have to set those boundaries. It was one of those things that, like, my husband and I fought about it, because that was what he needed. And I was just like immediately like, oh, I have all these things and these ideas and this, that, and can we do stuff, da, 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 you know, just like, and, you know, but he's just like, you know, just immediately downtrodden, you know, with, you know, having a desire to, you know, have that alone time. And then, but obviously don't abuse it, you know what I mean? It's like, I have 7 hours of alone time, all right? Like, come on now. Can I please get a minute of your time? So it's like, so that's one of the things that, like, I had to learn that lesson with him. I really did. I had to learn not to bombard him with my stuff. It's like, yeah, I get it. You've been dealing with stuff all day. I'm sorry. I don't mean to be.
Well, I used to get up, like when the kids were younger, I would get up an hour before they needed to be up. And that was my quiet time. And Carl would laugh because when he'd get up, you know, an hour after I did, it's like, man, you're such a morning person. I was like, no, I've been revving my engine for an hour. Now I'm awake. Now I can communicate with the rest of the world and not want to kill you. And so I typically get up early. And our friend was staying with us at the time, and she would come out, the lights are not on. We don't talk.
No.
The lights are still off. Shh. Once the alarms go off and the lights start coming on, you can talk.
Yeah.
Not until then. And that was hard for her because and I joke that she's a dog and I'm a cat. And I'm like, and she's like, hey! She'll do anything for you. She's fabulous. But we are two different levels of energy. Yeah. And so that's kind of funny. And then now Carl has started waking up early.
Honing in on your time.
And he's like, can I read this to you? And I'm like,
you're like, no, you cannot. But go ahead.
Like, why are you getting up early? But he now has all these extra things that he wants to do in the morning, and the only way to get it done in time for him to leave is he gets up earlier. So like, I don't want to get up any earlier than I already do, because I mean 4:30, and then on Tuesdays 2:30. Like, hello, I'm already up very early.
Oh my God!
Don't make me get up even earlier.
Ungodly, yeah. Like, when are you even sleeping?
We're never gonna go to sleep. We'll just be awake.
When you're old.
We'll just be awake.
My gosh.
But yeah, but it's funny because we both have these patterns and these things, and it's funny. And I will sit in the dark with my glasses off. So then he's like, hey, blah, blah, blah. And I'll look at him. Oh, I don't have my glasses on. And it's dark. I can't see you. So I'm looking. And he's like, why are you looking at me? Did I upset you? And I'm like, no, I'm just trying to see you. And I don't have my glasses on. And I don't want to put them on because then I'm just going to turn around and take them off.
Yeah.
So I'm just trying to see you. That's all.
That's all. That's so funny. That's one of the things. So the opposite one of this, the daily grind, is a time to unwind. And that was sort of one of the things that I had made because I needed that signal, not just to myself, but to others, like, I'm clocked out. Or even like the opposite, it's like, I'm clocked in. But if like, there's that signal, that's such a great signal for you to be like, I'm clocked out. Don't talk to me. I can't see you. I can't hear you
Right.
either. That's fantastic.
And I can't.
If you just like train everybody else to pick up on that signal.
You very well if I don't have my glasses on.
That's me too. Yeah,
because
I use
can't
lip reading.
see your lips.
Yep. Yes, ma'am.
Now, if you put me on a hearing test, I believe my ears hear just fine.
Yeah.
But there is a disconnect.
It's
if I get lost, I have to turn the radio down so that I can really focus on finding the road. Like, yeah. Apparently, it's a thing, and it happens to more people than others. But
yeah, I'm one of them.
It does happen. That's funny. That actually reminds me of a story from 32 years ago. 32 years ago, something like that. I mean, Carl and I will be married 30 years in August, and it was before we got married, so it's been a while. These two young guys from Southeastern, when it was Southeastern Bible College. So like it's been a while, right? And they're like, hey, we're in the video something class, and we're doing this thing, and would you be an actress for us? And I was like, sure. And they're like, okay. Here's the address. Be there at such a time. And I am early because that's what I do. And I drive, and I don't see the road. So I turn around, I drive back, and I don't see the road. So now I pull into a gas station. I'm like, where's this road? And they're like, yeah, it's right there. And I'm like, where? I do not see a road. Like, I cannot see a road. So now I got the radio down, and I am like back and forth on this road because apparently it's right there. And I was like, God, where is this road? And I swear, if I'm lying, I'm dying. The wind blew and the trees went, and there was the street sign, and that was it. That's right there.
Yeah.
I said, oh, you funny. I was like, God, you're funny. Yeah.
It's like, right here.
That, I was like, I see what you did, guys. Just ask and you shall receive. I got there on time instead of early because I back and forth on that road. I could not find that road for nothing.
But it was a good thing you turned the music down so that
Yes.
way you could see. So you could finally see it.
I was like, turn the radio down. I'm focusing hard. God, where is this road? Yeah.
Do you see it? I have the music down and everything.
It was, it was
I need
funny.
your help.
It was a very interesting day too, because the other guest that they had was Mary Kay Baxter. I think Mary Kay is definitely the first part of her name, and I feel like Baxter is the last part. And she wrote a book about going to hell. And so I was pretending that I was a interior design decorator, that I've been hired to redo all the dorms. And so they interviewed me, they interviewed her, and then they asked the audience who was the real guest. They thought I was the real guest.
Oh.
I was like,
You're a convincing little
I
actress.
was like, no, how is that even possible? But yeah,
That was great.
yeah, that was funny.
You're
But
convincing.
she was,
Or
she
you're
was-
just like, you have a trusting faith, you know,
Right.
a really trustworthy.
Right,
You
she
just have
would
this,
never
like, oh, it's your
lie.
smile. You could never lie.
nobody goes to hell. That's crazy. What kind of nonsense? Oh my
That's
Lord!
great.
I think I read her book too, because I got a copy of her book and I read it, and it's funny because I've read a lot of books around that same time, and I'm like, was this part of her book or was that part of somebody else's? But I feel like one of the things in her book was she also went to heaven. Like, she went to heaven, and she went to hell first, and then she got to go to heaven. And that might be a different book.
I was
But
like,
it was-
she's a celestial traveler, man.
Right.
But
But
otherworldly roamer.
right. But the something in the book, if it was her book, maybe I shouldn't even tell this. But anyway, so I read at some point in a book,
Just like,
because man, I don't want to slap her name on it, and that was
Right,
not her
yeah.
book. That's not what I wrote about.
She's lying about me.
But it was this very interesting image that all of us as people, we were souls, and we were all hanging around in heaven originally, and we chose, I want to be your sister, and I want to be your brother, and yeah, I agree to be the homeless guy, and I agree that, I'm gonna be the bad guy. I'll be the abuser, because like all of our lives, like, we planned our lives. We talked about, we knew that this was what we were gonna do, and we agreed to it. And then we came and we lived the life, but we forget that that's what's going on, and then we live these lives, and then we're mad because
And this
these
is
things
the
are
theology
happening.
she's proposing in this book.
But whatever book it was, but it was an interesting thought, because I'm like, maybe. Now, am I gonna put my life on that? Am I
right,
gonna,
yeah, that's not, yeah.
But it's
Yeah.
not a crazy idea. Like, hey,
To me, it's, I don't know, it doesn't make any sense. Just scripturally, it doesn't make sense to me. You know what I mean? But you're right. Maybe
Right.
there's no evidence that there isn't. But,
Right.
You know,
It's one of those.
Yeah. I just think we're a unique creation at time of conception. I truly believe that. I think soul switching is it's a concept of like it's karmic. It's what is that word? Reincarnation. Yes, yes. And there's actually a really interesting psychological thing that comes with that. So one of the places that they believe in karma, and karma is this like thing that's returned at the end of life.
Okay.
It's not a lot of like the Western thought of karma is like it's more people use it more like what poetic justice means.
Right.
Where it's like, oh, that's guy gets pulled over after, whatever, that's poetic justice. That's what that's supposed to be. People say karma, but karma in the Buddhist religion is repaid at the end of life based on how you lived your previous life. And so in these Buddhist countries, in these places where they believe that, there's no compassion because you earned that life. You deserve that life. You chose it by the way that you lived the previous life.
Ooh.
And so therefore my compassion is not necessary because that's a natural consequence.
Yeah.
Of the previous idea.
Now, I don't like that.
Thing.
I don't like that aspect.
Yeah,
because we
it's
gotta
really
have
helpful.
compassion.
Right? Yeah,
Well,
it's like
so-
there's
and
a very
that's where
unique
the
thing
difference-
that happens in our life.
Well,
you know what I mean?
that's something that's a little different because it's not at the end of life. It's no. I agree to go down and live this journey.
Right. Yeah.
And be this part, play this part in this journey.
This thing. Right.
And I don't see it taken away because we forget that we did. So
Right.
now we're just living.
Right. So then what? It's the same soul, different life.
No,
There's a
it's
difference.
your soul was created and your soul is hanging out and you go and God's like, all right,
Yeah.
what part do you want to play?
That sounds like reincarnation. Sounds like she's cuckoo to me. I mean, I'm sure she believes what she thinks or sees or whatever, but I don't know. It's just not, there's very little evidence for any of that. Other than, I mean, I know that there's a lot of like information or stuff out there about like NDEs, near-death experiences, and also like kids who talk about like experiences of past lives or whatever. But a lot of times the the concepts and the things that people see are based on more like Greek literature and things that they've been exposed to previously, and they're implementing this in whatever experience this is that they've had. So I don't know. It's a really fascinating topic for me. Like to me, the really interesting stories were always the kids being able to point out where a murder happened and say that was their previous life or whatever.
Right.
But I also believe that I perhaps believe that there are other realmly things that feed us information and feed us things or ideas or thoughts or, you know what I mean?
Right.
Other realmly things that have been around for much, much longer than we have. But I believe that we're a unique creation, a unique soul at conception, and I believe that is the eternal soul that stays with us in the end of all days. That's my personal belief. So I think that's very much what would influence how I would read that particular book.
But you don't think that it's possible that the unique soul has any input before coming down on where they join? Unique soul. Not saying it's not a unique soul.
Do you think Adam
unique
did?
soul. Well, if this particular author's
Did God breathe something before he breathed into Adam? Did he breathe it outside of Adam before he breathed it into Adam?
Well, because he said he's talking to somebody. We're going to do this.
Yeah.
Well, who's he talking to?
Yeah. So then who did Adam and Eve create? Something unique or something already created?
Well, the soul was already created. The body's what was created down here.
I don't know. I think the soul is what the spark of life is.
Ooh.
I think that's the breath. That pulse. Let there be light. It's a beautiful, I don't know, the whole picture is just, oh, it's beautiful. Now what really bends my mind, here's this, is Jesus's conception and creation. Right? For he was there, he says, before Moses was, I am, right? But Jesus is there bodily. But Jesus's conception is supposedly unique, right? This virginal conception. But then we have these pieces in Scripture about Melchizedek, and this thing about the order of Melchizedek, the order of Melchizedek, the order of Christ. Who is it? What is this? So there is this bodily representation of Christ before the bodily conception of Christ. Okay, so then what is the transfiguration, right? Is that part, or the ascension, right? Like, so this is my theory. This is not scriptural, all right?
Right, no, these are debate box
theory,
things.
right?
These are debate box things. I love debate box things.
Right. So for his conception to be, and his bodily form to be totally unique, right? That at the time that he stepped outside. So God is not really like a part of time. He created time.
Right.
He was Spirit, Son, and Father for all of eternity, existing in triune love, and then created. Right. That's my understanding of God. Right. So then, there's no physical form of Jesus. Right? Until the physical form of Jesus comes, but because Jesus is outside of time, after he becomes the physical form, he can be there. You know what I mean? It's like, that's the part that twists my head. Okay, when you talk about souls existing before the body, Jesus is the only one that I think that there's any form of curiosity or conversation. You know what I mean?
Right.
I think that's really that's where my brain gets in the pretzel. It's like, that part is like stepping outside of time, being a unique creation as Jesus, as the Son, but still being there at the beginning of time. Like, like whatever fourth dimensional realm whatever that tesseract,
right?
Whatever that is, that's where Jesus' soul was.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like, whatever that is, and then it was concepted, or whatever. It was part of the conception, or it's the Holy Spirit, or they said the Father, the Holy Spirit. But the triune Spirit is what I understand to be existing in eternal presence. Yeah, I think about those things.
I love that.
Have you thought about that, though?
Yeah.
Like the bodily conception versus the eternal, you know what I mean? And like where that part lies. Because to me, the answer about human souls is answered. Like, that to me isn't really like, I do think that there are things permeating throughout realms. You know what I mean? There's more going on than what we can see.
Oh, absolutely.
Obviously. You know what I mean? But as far as our own unique creation, like, to me, that is plainly evidenced across the way Scripture is and the way reality falls. And it's that spark of life. That's the part that every time that comes across, I come across that, because you've seen that, right? Like the moment that the sperm meets the egg, that there's and of course, they're always unfolding more truths and cracking open worlds that they think they had all the answers to, and they're like, where's this code? What is this thing? Oh, we found out it's just like there's just like this really incredible, intricate underlying, why of how it happens, but we always know who the who is.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's like he's the who, but this little why over here, it's like when, or the when, when, the why, the how, it's like those are fun
Yeah.
things. Those are fun things.
And never do I, so when I'll read these different thoughts or whatever, and I find them interesting. Like, I think that would be kind of cool to know that at some point I was already with the Father. And I helped to make the decision to live this life. So why am I going to be bitter about it? I made the choice that I was going to be Maxina's friend.
Yeah.
At some point, I was going to get together with her and we were going to be friends.
Yeah.
And wow, that's cool, right? Like, there's this little.
I don't know.
There's a little
I would
piece
trust
of that
God's choice to make me versus my own.
Right. Well,
I
because
would
in our
I think I would have more comfort knowing that God chose this life for me than something I had stepped into, and I could be bitter to myself. I could be mad at myself.
That's funny.
I would.
Well,
I would be mad.
And the way I'm thinking about it is not like it was a joint conversation. Like, it was a conversation. Like, the Father was like, hey, like, what do we want to do? How do you want to do this?
Okay.
Like, you're about to go on a journey. You're about to go learn some lessons.
Yeah.
How do you want to do it?
How you want to be?
How do you want to do it?
Yeah.
And then we're born, and I've often thought that babies are born with all of the knowledge and not the ability to speak. And that's on purpose. But have you ever looked at a baby and just been, man, that baby just looks wise. It has, like, and there's these weird things, like, they know
the
you.
old souls.
Like they know
peer
you.
into
They
you.
just, right? And it's like, man, they you say, are you hungry? And they react, right? And you're like, how do you know what I've just said? Because I feel like you're born with all of the knowledge.
Yeah.
And in that time that you're being, like, you have no function because you can't, like, you unlearn to relearn. And so all of that. And so in that, like, debate box.
Yeah.
Not theology.
Right, yeah.
Not nobody's salvation is based on this, right?
My
But
brain always just goes, okay, what's the implication of that? That's where my brain always goes.
It's like, God's like, all right, so you ready to go do this? You ready to go learn this lesson? Yeah, all right. I'm down for this. All right, this is going to be an exciting journey. And then you're here and you're like, oh, there's my mommy. And I know what they're saying. And then all of a sudden, like, now I need to learn to speak, and it's like, and in that period of time, like, the memories fade. Like, it's there, and then they fade, and so now you're into your life where you're learning and you're going on this journey, and
where you do it all over again in a different time and place.
Where are you going to end up at the end? And did you reconnect? Did you do the thing that you and God talked about?
Yeah.
And I think that's an interesting, like, I just think that's an interesting concept.
It is.
But again, people used to go on and on about the book of Revelation and da-da-da. And I'm like, listen, I don't care if there's a pre, a post. I don't care when the millennium is. I don't care. Rapture, I don't care.
Right.
It does not change my salvation.
Right.
My relationship with Christ, and that's where I'm grounded.
Yeah.
Now the rest of it, that's interesting.
Yeah.
But I'm not gonna be, oh my God, you believe that the 1,000 years before, or the 1,000 years after, or that the saved are the ones who go up and everybody else is left behind, or the saved are the only ones who are left behind, and wait, what?
Yeah.
No, I don't care.
Yeah.
I'll find out when it happens. Like, I don't care how that gets
we'll
into
figure it out when we get there.
Right.
Whatever. It'll be revealed to us.
In the
at
meantime,
the right time.
are you having a conversation with God?
Right.
Are you actually relationing with Him?
Yeah. Well, and I think too is just like the ability to even acknowledge the existence of the soul.
Mm.
That there's something else that carries on. That there's this very obvious internal energy, you know, and that acknowledgement of that is at least good for internal exploration.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like if you can't even talk about the idea of what it is, where it comes from, what's the consequence of it, you know, how many times do we get a chance to choose Jesus? If you know, it's like, you know, it's like, what are the, you know, what's the fallout of that? And then I think that could probably also, and I think too that also, you know, obviously when you talk about the soul and where it is and where it comes from and where it ends up, it does make a difference on how you live your life and the choices that you make in it. So I think that's probably also why people get to, like, say it's not a theological conversation, but it is, because how you view that often for a lot of people, obviously for you, it's like, you know how you feel about Jesus, but
Right.
for a lot of people it's more about like, well, I'm more concerned about what ends up with my soul. If there's no actual consequence, or if I could choose again, then why make this choice now, here and now?
Right.
You know what I mean? It's like people,
Or
like,
if I get to do it again, I'll just do it again.
right,
And
I'll
do it
just
different next time.
I'll choose differently next time.
Right.
Right, like it's not you only live once. I live as many times as I want to live. You know what I mean? It's like so it's like there is very much this implication of how you live your life based on what you believe about the soul. So it's an important conversation, absolutely, and the conclusion that you have absolutely influences the unfolding of what your everyday decisions could be. You know, a lot of people like making decisions because they believe the alignment of the planets are
Right.
in retroactive whatever. It's like, you know, it's like you know, and there's enough evidence, enough consistency in the lie that, you know, it passes off as truth for people.
Right.
You know, and I think that's too, like, when you come across the conversation about soul, it's like, well, I just have to have enough evidence to believe whatever it is that feels good or whatever, or fun, or seems right, or has answers the funny little questions I have about the mysteries, you know what I mean? And especially, like, one of the things that I've been was coming across, I was doom scrolling a little bit in this season, and for some reason that crazy lady Cynthia Brown, do you remember the Montel? She'd show up on Montel. She had that real deep smoker voice and, like, gave readings and had the, what a character. So, like, and I mean, just like off the wall, yeah, you drowned, honey. You know, just totally. And it's just like, it's there, you know, it's like, it's enough information that fits in with enough that a lot of people just, like, accepted whatever the heck she had to say. But it's like, she was an oracle for people. You know what I mean? And it's like, there was just like, I just need enough information and enough evidence.
There was another guy. John James. There was a guy,
like a medium dude or whatever,
who did the same thing. And I was like, I know there's a catch. I know there's something. What is it that they're doing? Like, like these people are, like, really, like, going, that's. I'm like, what am I missing? And there's a guy on TikTok. I haven't seen him in a while. But he debunks. Like, he's
mediums.
Yeah, he's like, no, it's
yeah.
That's not how it works. He goes, what we're doing, and he goes, because I do it for stage. Like, it's, he goes, you say something vague, and you wait for the eyes to. You have to know people and how they react to things. And I'm like, man, how busy are your eyeballs that. Because, like, you have to look at that whole audience to see who reacts to the letter R, and then, like, capture and go, you. Is it you?
If you're going for a reading, they're reading you.
Right.
That's what they're reading.
But when they do it from the stage, they've to get the first person, like, because they talk to the whole audience, and then they pick somebody. But, like, man. And I'm like, I knew it, but... I used to love to watch magic shows. David Copperfield.
Illusionists. Yeah.
I was infatuated with that. And I'm like, I know that what's happening is an illusion. But how did you trick my brain?
Right, yeah.
Because literally, I'm looking at you right there, but now you're over here. How did you do that?
Yeah, what are you doing? Stop that.
But yeah.
No, and I do believe that there are people who actually can communicate or get information from, the other realmly things, Witchcraft is one of the fastest growing religions right now. So we're an adulterous nation. Bigger than crap right now in that aspect. And but I most of them is exactly that. It's fraudulent. It's just fraud, If you come across a real one, you better hope you hadn't.
Right.
To be honest.
Be like,
Right. You don't want to be attached to the things that are hanging around the people who do it for real.
Right.
I wouldn't. I don't want to. But yeah, Cynthia Brown. I think that was her name. But yeah,
I know exactly who you're talking about too.
Yeah. But oh my
I'd
gosh.
be so fascinated. What was it, like 8 to 10 years old after school or homesick from school?
Yes, I was glued to it. Like, this is so fascinating, It's like, yeah.
And it's always, I think it was I know it can't be real. I'm going to catch it. And I'd be like, dang it, I didn't catch it. What is it that they're doing?
Yeah.
I know there's something. What are they doing?
There's something. Yeah.
That's funny.
You said, David, there was one, who was it? It was like, Chris Angel. He was the illusionist of my generation.
Yes!
Chris Angel.
Loved him!
the personality and everything, the illusion. Yes,
Oh.
yes. What a show.
Walking on water and putting hand through glass.
He did a thing with a building too or something.
Yeah.
Or was trying to make a building disappear or something. Or maybe I'm mixing that up with a comedy. I don't know.
Well, I don't know. Well, because David Copperfield made a building disappear and made an elephant disappear and made an airplane disappear.
It's getting
but
old now, dude. It's like after the airplane, it's like, old trick.
Right? Like, And, but no, Chris Angel did some really crazy stuff too. And he had a cooler affect, but it was the David Copperfield stuff, you know?
Yeah.
And, but yeah, I think the weirdest ones was the hand through the glass. Like pushing something through a solid glass pane, and then it's in the other, it's here, and now it's in the room. It's like, what? And you're like, I know there's...
It's trick glass.
I know there it, but
I can't tell.
I can't see
I can't figure it out, and I don't like it.
But yeah, it's definitely entertaining to watch.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I feel like so entertaining it is, like that they've done that. One of the things that I experience in those shows is this indignation that they've turned me into an idiot. You know what I mean? It's like, I am so irritated that you know how dumb I am, and I'm done.
That's how I got with soap operas.
Up yours, buddy. I get it. You're smarter. How cool.
I used to love to watch soap operas with my mom, and I think the one I fell for was General Hospital, and it was because there was a murder mystery happening, and I was like, that's my thing, man. That's my jam.
The sleuth.
And so then I kind of got hooked, and then there was a period of time where I'd watch several of them in the afternoon before going to work, and from one channel to the next channel and back again. And there were just things that just were like, do y'all think we're stupid? Like, how is it that last year your kid went away to whatever at the age of 12, went away to what's that school that they send rich kids to, boarding school? And then all of a sudden, the next year, he's back, and now he's 18. It's only been a year. Huh? What?
Houdini.
What kind of craziness, you know? And just the weird stuff. But the thing that made me go, I will never watch again, was on the one particular show. It was One Life to Live. One Life to Live. And one of their main characters had multiple personality. They wielded that right into the show. And that was interesting the first time they did it. So now, all these years later, her daughter is having the same problem.
Oh.
Okay, little insert eye roll here. All right. Well, the personality takes over. She goes and falls in love with somebody, but then they get her back, and okay, she's supposed to be marrying this guy, and the psychologist merges the two personalities. What insert eye roll here? And so she's at her husband's restaurant, and the other guy is there. And they go into the storage room to talk. The door locks. They're in there arguing, whatever. You really just need to leave me alone. Blah, 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 blah. I have to get on with my life. And he's like, but you know you love me. Whatever, right? And then the building catches on fire. And smoke is coming through the vent. And instead of screaming for someone to help them get out of this locked room, they decide they're going to make out. I went, no, I'm done. I'm done. I am done. I went, I have excused all of your nonsense, all of the craziness. I have rode this ride with you, but I'm done. And Carl about died. He went, that's the thing? And I went, that was the thing. That was the thing. I have never turned one on again. I was like, I am so done. Like, that was the thing that just pushed me over the edge. I am not an idiot. And now you're just making me look like an idiot.
Like, you're insulting my intelligence if I keep watching this.
That was the thing. I was like, the people getting killed but then come back to life, the stretch of imagination it takes to get there, but that was the thing. I said no, because that wouldn't have happened.
Yeah,
they're not gonna die that way. They're not doing that. Like, no, there is nobody that interested in getting with somebody that the building is on fire. Like, it's not happening. I can't watch it.
Absolutely no sense of self-preservation whatsoever.
I was like, I'm done. And I was so mad. I was
my
oh
God.
my God. And I deleted all of them. Because that was back in the day of DVR, right?
Like,
I deleted all of them.
Who wrote this crap? I'm going to delete everything they ever work on.
And
That's so
Carl
funny.
is just like,
Oh
what
my
is
gosh.
wrong with you? And I said, you will never believe what this show just did.
Oh my gosh.
And
Yeah.
he went, well, I told you they were stupid. I said I knew they were stupid. And it was okay because I like trash.
Yeah.
I like trash TV.
Yeah.
I find it, I don't have to think.
You just space out. Yeah,
and,
exactly.
like,
Yeah.
it's fine. But there's these little storylines that I enjoyed following. And
Yeah.
I would put up with the nonsense for the storyline. And that was just, nope, done.
No more. I can find these recycled stories elsewhere. Thank you very
There
much.
was, as a matter of fact, there was one, I forget what it was called, but it started as a half-hour parody of soap operas. And it legit was the most ridiculous thing. Like, it was, but it was intentional. But it became so popular that they ended up shifting all of the other shows and got rid of some other half-hour show to give it a full hour because it had gotten so popular. It was so ridiculous.
Well, it's like people don't mind if you insult their intelligence as long as both parties agree to the fact that you're coming to the table to have your intelligence insulted.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
It's like, I have consented. I have consented to turning my brain to jello right now, so let's do this.
What is it the kids call it
But-
these days? Brain rot?
Yeah.
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 It was the
No.
brain rot of our day.
Yeah.
That was the brain rot of, well, my mom's day, her
That's so
mom's
funny.
day.
Yeah.
Yeah. If my mom didn't watch it, I'm sure I would have never watched.
Yeah.
But
I know.
got
I feel
that.
that way about almost everything I've watched because I just feel like Like, you really do have to be, and I've gotten so bad about it, and I want to, maybe that's something I really need to work on, is just, like, I need to be better about imagination.
Ooh.
For some reason, like, my imagination is just crap, because I'll watch something and I'm like, that would never happen. Would never happen. Like, I can't watch TV.
I don't know
cannot
that
I don't
that's,
own a TV. But
and I don't think that's because your imagination is crap. It's just that they're not meeting your level of imagination.
maybe. Yeah.
It's become
I just
too
can't
predictable.
I can't suspend reality for any amount of time, I feel like.
It's become too predictable.
Yeah.
It's the same story all the time.
Yeah.
Shoot, there was a period of time where all of the crime dramas would tell the same story, slightly different.
Yeah.
I'm like, isn't that what SVU did last week? Isn't that what Law and Order did last? Isn't that what?
Yeah. Well, because they're all copying the latest cases and the new stories that are going on, and
Straight from the headline.
Right? Yeah. It's like, well, if you just pay attention to reality, then I mean, reality is entertaining enough, honestly. If
Some
you think
days.
about it, yeah. Reality can be pretty darn entertaining. You ever gone people watching? Oh boy, talk about having your intelligence toyed with. That's a whole other thing. But yeah, no, I think I want to be, because like fairy tales, you know, when my daughter was younger, I wanted to read her fairy tales because I thought that it was a good, you know, obviously they're obviously fairy tales.
Right.
I don't like fairy tales that are like the Santa Claus fairy tale. To me, I would rather teach my kid about who the real Saint Nicholas was.
Right.
You know, and talk about the fact that the Santa Claus came from a poem. You know what I mean? The reality of where the cultural Santa Claus came from is really fun. It's interesting, you know, the way we all take off with things, but now it's like this lure that we give our kids, and that's fine. I'm just kind of a stickler
That was one of my
about it.
biggest struggles being pregnant with Carrie. Was how am I going to deal with that?
No.
Because I don't want to lie to him.
Yeah.
I
don't
know what
like
if I recognize that was my mom's handwriting from the very beginning. Like, I'm like, why does she keep saying what?
Right.
I don't understand. And I kind of resented her a little bit for that. And I was like, I don't want that. People are like, you're not going to give your kid Santa? And I didn't say that. I said, I just don't know what I'm going to do. Like,
Yeah.
this is a struggle. Like, I don't understand. And so at age of 4, and I'm like, Santa. And I was like, yeah, so this is who he is. Da, da, da. Okay. Can I write Santa a letter? And I'm like, okay, because you want the magic.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I've told you the truth.
Yes.
You do with that as you will. And we never had presents under the tree from Santa. So that was never a thing.
Yeah. I didn't do that either.
I don't think we ever put names on them. Like, it was, their name was on it, but it was never from Mom, from Dad, from anybody. There's just gifts under the tree for you. It is what it is. And then the Easter Bunny, we just didn't even do.
Yeah, we didn't do anything.
We didn't do
Easter Bunny, yeah.
Easter baskets or any of that. And the Tooth Fairy just kind of happened.
Yeah, for us too, yeah.
And
actually, now that you put it, yeah.
and when Snow was 7.
Okay. But I feel like Tooth Fairy is a little bit of it's not circumventing some other celebration.
Right.
To me, like, putting Santa in place of Christ or putting the bunny in place of Christ, like, that to me was just like
It's
obviously a bad idea.
Right.
But the Tooth Fairy, maybe that was why it was easy for me to be like, yeah, all right, here's a couple of bucks from a imaginary
So
thing.
that movie, The Guardians of the Universe, I think has Santa Claus, the Easter Bunny, the Tooth Fairy, the all of them, right?
Okay.
And a commercial for that comes on. Now I'm at work. Carl and Snow are on the bed. They're watching. This commercial comes on, and she goes, "Dad." Now I walk in the door a few minutes later, and she's and comes running over. I was like, "What did you do?" She is in trouble, obviously. What did I just walk into? Okay, I'm just gonna hold you. And when you calm down, you tell me words, because I don't understand what's happening. Dad says you're the one who puts the money under the pillow when I lose a tooth. Now remember, I've already said I am not going to lie to my children. So I said, yeah, I do that. Wait. How do you do that without waking me up?
She's just like following it to him, like, hold on.
And I whispered in her ear, because I am the tooth fairy.
All right.
Okay, and then it became her mission to catch me.
Ah.
So then I walk into the bedroom, and I'm like, Carl, what happened? And he goes, she rolled over, and she is on my chest, and she's looking me in the eyes, and she said, is the tooth fairy real? And it was one of those moments. I knew that if I lied to her, that was it. Or it was over. I had to tell her.
Bless
and
that
I
man's
was like,
heart.
and I went, okay. I just, heads up next time, man. That
Right, yeah.
we went to Dr. Bob at that time. And
Oh.
so now we've got all 3 of the kids at Dr. Bob's dentist office. And they have the Tooth Fairy hotline. So they got the little business card for the Tooth Fairy hotline with the phone number on it. And I'm like, crap, she's going to see that. Sure enough, she saw it. She picked that card up. She's reading it. One of the first things that she learned how to do was to recite my phone number. And she knows that is not my phone number. So we go and we sit down. She goes, this is not your number. And I said, you're going to break my cover. And she's like, oh. I was like, can't everybody just call it my house number? Like, are you kidding me? She was like, okay, gotcha. I was like, man.
She's just like still trying to catch you.
Oh, yes.
Like,
it was her mission. And she never could. And then Linda, her teeth came in late. And so her teeth were going to fall out late. Now, she is the oldest kid still losing teeth at school, right? And she'd come home, I lost a tooth. And it was all great, whatever. And there's one day she comes home, she's got her tooth, and she's got it in a toy car, and she's zooming it across the table. And then she loses control, and it flies off the table, and then she can't find the tooth. I said, well, luckily for you, the tooth fairy has tooth radar and will find the tooth, wherever it is. Problem is the money gets left wherever the tooth is, so good luck with that. And she's like, oh my God. Well, the tooth fairy found the tooth in the crease of the chair. Tooth fairy left her a note, said, be more careful next time. You probably would have never found the money if I didn't leave you a sign. So here's your sign. Be more careful. So then she comes home, and she's lost a tooth, and they've put it in one of those little treasure boxes. Now, I think I'm funny. I take the tooth out, but I take $1 and I fold it so tiny and I stuff it in there. Because that's hysterical.
That is great.
All right.
So creative.
So then she turns around. She comes home with another tooth. She's like, ah. And I don't know if you remember my house, the setup. Dining room table. I'm at this end. That end is the door going into the kitchen. Door on that side goes down the hall to the bedrooms. She's standing on that side. She shows me the tooth. And I said, now you better go put it under your pillow now so you don't lose it. So it'll be there for the tooth fairy. She's like, okay. And I swear she ran down the hall. I remember her going down the hall. So that night, I go in her room. Her and Snow share the room at the time. She's on a top bunk sleeping. Snow's over here reading a book. I'm like, oh, it's not under the pillow. So, checking her pockets. What did she do with it? So now I'm going, Snow, I don't know what she's thinking, but she goes, what are you doing? I'm looking for something. She goes, do you make it a habit of coming in our room snooping through things when we're asleep? I said, your sister lost a tooth today. And she went, oh. I said, and I swear she ran in here and put it under her pillow, but it is not there now. It's not in her backpack. And, all right. It is what it is, right? So the next morning, going about our morning, and then Linda goes, oh, my tooth. And she runs. She's like, wait, the tooth fairy didn't come. I said, did you put the tooth under your pillow? And she went, no. I said, well, where's your tooth? I don't know. I lost it. I said, well, remember, the tooth fairy has tooth radar. She knows where it is. So keep your eye open. Maybe you'll find some money at some point, because, I don't know. 3 months. It is now November. It's Thanksgiving. My sister-in-law is at the house, and she's standing in that kitchen door, standing there. I'm at the sink in front of the door on the other side, and I'm telling her about the story. I said, this is the craziest thing, because I swear, it was in this little treasure box, and she went, like that one over there? I went, what? I'm there, she was there, right? She ran that way. Kitchen's that way. In the kitchen, and all the way down at the end, under a cupboard. How did it even get there? I don't even know. I don't even care. But I was so excited. I went and found $1. I took that tooth. I folded that $1 up. I put it back. I put it right back where I found it. Went about doing the dishes and doing stuff. And then an hour later, I was like, Linda, I need you to go sweep the kitchen and make sure you get under the cupboards, because you hadn't done that in a hot minute. And then she found her tooth. Or, well, she found her treasure box and her doll. And I said, is that where they was hiding the whole time? She was like, oh my God. And then she comes home months later, lost another tooth. I said, all right, make sure you put it under. She's like, I'm not putting it under my pillow. I said, what are you doing with it? She's like, oh, I'm not telling. I said, what's wrong with you? She's like, we're going to find out if the tooth fairy's real.
Oh.
I said,
It's
okay.
Now it's a tooth challenge.
I said, okay.
That is so funny.
You do you, boo.
Yeah.
And so she hides it while nobody was looking. And so she goes to bed. And I said, hey, Snow, you remember when you found out I was the tooth fairy? She was like, yep. I said, well, now you're the tooth fairy in training. And she went, okay. I said, your sister is testing to see if the tooth fairy's real. We need to find her tooth. Within a minute, she found it. And I said, I knew I chose right. And so that is why I have my retirement wings on my back. And she has her fairy wings.
That is so
Because
great.
she is the new tooth fairy.
I love that.
She was
That's an even better story than whatever actual story any tooth fairy could be. That you're the tooth fairy and you pass that on. That's the sweetest story ever.
When Snow was 16, she was kind of going through a phase where she was really into bones. Animal bones, it didn't matter. Bones and teeth.
Yeah.
Like, she was
I won't blame her. It was really fascinating
into them.
stuff.
And she was like, I want a jar of teeth. And I went, okay. She looked at me, and I walked into my bedroom, and I found every hidden tooth that I had. She went, why do you have? I said, I was the tooth fairy.
Yeah.
I keep them.
Yeah.
I didn't know what I was
This is
going to do with them.
currency.
But I couldn't just throw them in the trash, because then you would see them.
Right,
I had
yeah.
to just discreetly hide them. And so they were in a jewelry box. They were in this wardrobe. They were in the underwear drawer. Like, they were everywhere.
Everywhere.
So got her a little jar, gave her, and handed it right over. It's
Here's
like,
your
I'm
baby.
retired, and you're the tooth fairy.
That is excellent. That is so
I
great.
wanted to write a children's book called Shh, My Mom's the Tooth Fairy. But I couldn't think of how to make it a cute story and
Well, let's work on that.
and
I'm a writer.
and be a lesson
so
at the
we-
end. Like, somewhere there's got to be a lesson or something. Like, I feel like there's got to be a lesson.
No, it can just be a fun story,
But yeah.
a fun mother-daughter story, and
Yeah.
the mother-daughter's story. I think that's great. No. Well, and I think even just telling it now, I think that now. So I think we're probably going to have to actually wrap
it up.
We're going to have to wrap up this conversation.
Yes.
Well,
that's what happens when we don't get together. When we don't get together for 3 weeks, that's what happens.
I know. Yeah, no, I was really glad that we kind of went for a good long time,
Yeah.
and that'll be good. Maybe this will be a two-parter, depending on how you decide to divide that up. I don't know how long these have been going for, so... Well, we thank you, everybody, for sticking around long enough to hear about our antics and our, what the weather is like and our forecast for the upcoming times and years or a year or whatever. So we'll get together again next week.
Yes.
And
that's a period and not a question mark.
Yes. Yes. Yeah, as long as you don't try to die again.
Right, not dying again.
Because you not.
I don't have anything else that's
no other organs that you're trying to
You're right.
get out.
No,
all right.
Keeping them all.
All right, you're keeping the rest of your organs. Then I think there's probably a higher likelihood that we'll make sure that we'll meet together next week. And I thank you very much, sister, for coming and telling me about the weather. And I love you.
Love you.
All right.
Thank you for joining Maxina Sunshine and April Snow on the Weekly Weather. Like and follow to catch our next conversation.